As a relationship coach, I come in contact with women who are working past a betrayal. Cheating is the most common one, and some choose to stay in their relationship and to move forward together. And the successful ones have a few common practices that I want to share with you today. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and I help people create deep, meaningful relationships through healthy communication. So betrayal is such a tough thing to work through, and a lot of relationships don't survive it. But it is totally survivable if you do a few particular things. And we're going to go through those today. The first one is there has to be a commitment to growth, to healing, like a plan, an exact plan. When that has happened, the person who did the cheating usually wants to just say, I'm sorry, and quickly sweep it under the rug and let's move forward and let's get out of here. We don't want to stay here anymore because there's a lot of shame around it, and they just want to move on. But if that happened, something went terribly wrong, right? Something went terribly wrong that maybe it was in the relationship itself. Maybe it was within the person who did the betraying. Maybe it was in all of the things. So you have to work on healing this event and then also figuring out how you grow from it. Whether that is therapy alone or together or both, or work with a coach, same thing. It can be taking a course, going to a conference together, reading, journaling. But that commitment to growth and healing is super important. You can't just put it behind you and move forward. It won't be good enough to have the strong relationship that you hope to have going forward. It's a wedge now. And to remove that wedge, you've got to be willing to grow, because you're never going to go back to the old relationship. That's not going to happen. You are now creating something new after the event, right? After the betrayal. And so you want to make sure you do that in the healthiest way possible. Figure out what happened. Figure out what has to be apologized for, forgiven, healed, and how you can grow from it. The second thing is transparency. Betrayal happens when there's a secret. Somebody does something and doesn't tell the other person. I mean, we all have human urges. People are walking around and they're attracted to somebody that they see in the environment. That isn't always something you can help, but what you do with that does matter. When you're transparent about things like that, and you share those with your partner so they know what's going on in your head, you can start to build trust again. When you're transparent about what's coming up as you're growing, your ahas, your breakthroughs, your, oh my gosh, this is what's wrong with me. When you share those things, you start to build that trust again. You have to be transparent because you've previously been secretive. And the secret is the big part of the betrayal. So transparency is the next thing. You got to be talking about this stuff, talking about the things that you think, talking about the things you feel. Tell them when somebody slides into your DM and is trying to entice you to something. You want to let your partner know. They need to be intimately woven into your life so that they feel that you are trustworthy. And the person who has gone through the betrayal has to recognize these as trust-building things. It can feel a little bit scary to hear that someone did slide into your partner's DMs when there has been a betrayal. But instead of letting that trigger you back to the previous event, you want to think about that share as them building trust with you again. So we have to have this transparency. And the last thing I want to share today is having a plan to deal with the really hard moments. Because this is a process and it's not just one and done and over. everything will just be fine. You'll be like going through life and everything's going really well. And then something will happen. A thought, you remember something, you hear a song, you see a type of car, you drive past a place, and you'll get plummeted right back into that event. And insecurity will come up, and doubt will come up, and it will feel like you've never healed, but it's just a moment. How that moment is handled is so important, because what can happen is this. The person who did the betraying is like, we have been talking about this forever and I'm so done. And why do we have to keep coming back to it? It brings up feelings of shame for them, and they can be very dismissive. That is the last thing that we want to do. And the person who has been betrayed, when that comes up, they might go right back into, I want to punish them mode, right? Oh, that's right. You did this to me. And then they can go back into that real punitive stance. That will just shut down the other person and drives a wall up between you. So in that moment, you have to have a plan, because they're going to happen. They're going to happen. It could be just someone wakes up from a cheat dream, right? In that moment, there has to be connection. There needs to be reassurance. There needs to be empathy. There needs to be care. There needs to be patience. Both people have to commit to doing those moments together in the most loving and healthy way possible, because they're going to show up, and they will get less and less over time as you continue to grow, as you continue to be transparent and build trust. They will happen less and less, but when they do, it's because you handled them with care and with a plan. These are the things that are the big keys to success in couples who have been able to thrive after a betrayal. It's totally doable. It requires commitment on both people's part. You can hear in there that everybody's going to have to stretch themselves a little bit, but it's completely doable. And I've seen people create some very beautiful relationships because there was a betrayal that they learned so much from, that they were able to grow more expansively as people and as a couple than they could before. If you would like some support, if you're dealing with this, I have a membership, Seen and Heard, which is a community and training all about communication. Communication is going to be the bedrock of surviving something like this. And it's a lovely group of people with resources to help you be a better communicator, to help you lead your relationship into better communication territory so that you can keep connecting, creating more intimacy, handling conflict in the most healthy way possible, and healing the things that the relationship has suffered in the past. So you can go to the link and join us, and we'd love to welcome you to our group.